Hey everyone, this is Sal Congeloso from Geek.com, and I've got a fun little project planned out for us, and I'm just going to walk everyone through it on video. So what we're going to be doing is a SSD upgrade on a laptop. So we're going to be taking out the normal 2.5-inch mechanical hard drive and putting in a solid-state drive. It's actually not that difficult of a job, but with a couple tips, it can go a whole lot easier. In this first step, I just wanted to walk us through the hardware that we're going to use. And of course, I'll say this right now, there's a lot of ways to do this. My way may not be the best or the quickest, but it is pretty easy, and the results are basically more or less a sure thing. Like, you really can't screw this one up too badly, so it might be worth checking out before you decide which way you want to go. So in order to do the job, we're going to need a laptop. I'm using a ThinkPad Edge 13. Any laptop with a 2.5-inch hard drive is going to work. Then we need, of course, the SSD. My lighting isn't great there. That we have right here is a Kingston 128 gigabyte SSD Now V series. The V is the kind of the value series. It's an MLC drive. You could use anything you want. The 128 gigabyte is still kind of expensive, but so if you don't use the size, you could do 64 or 32 or whatever you want. The main thing that we need is that the SSD has to be larger than the amount of data you have stored on your current hard drive. So if your current installation of your operating system, in this case we'll be using Windows, is 30 gigabytes, then just make sure you have something larger than that, or you delete it all before you do the swap. Get rid of all your music or whatever's taking up the space. This is a desktop kit. So in addition to the 2.5-inch SSD, you get some instructions. Here's a drive itself. You also get, this is a, zoom in a little bit, this is a Molex 4-pin to SATA power. And like I said, this is the desktop kit. So it's preparing you to do the swap on your desktop. These are the rails to convert the 2.5-inch drive to a 3.5-inch, and this is a SATA cable. Sorry, the lighting. You know what a SATA cable looks like. We won't need that stuff. We will need some sort of USB hard drive. This is a 500 gigabyte Seagate. A thumb drive, just a USB drive. Again, sorry for the lighting. This is a gigabyte. We don't need anything fancy. The file I think we're using for this is going to be 99 megabytes. And we have a tiny screwdriver, Phillips head. And of course you'll need an internet connection. With those rounded up, you're just about ready to get going. So we have the laptop, we have the SSD, you have the screwdriver, you have your USB key, and you have a USB hard drive. So now what we need is just a little bit of planning, and that's going to determine how we get the data, our, the operating system and all that, from the hard drive to the SSD. And the point of this method is so that we're cloning the hard drive, so we don't have to reinstall the operating system and all that. What we're going to do is we're going to use a product called Acronis TrueImage 2010. It's available for a free trial, so it gives us full functionality for 30 days. And then if you like it, you could buy it, but you definitely don't have to. And what that is going to do is it's going to let us clone our hard drive to the SSD. So once we do that, and it's just a hardware swap. So, but rather than doing a normal clone like we did in my previous Seagate video, Acronis does it using a backup. So what we're going to do is back up the operating system to this disk, boot from this later on, and then tell Acronis to restore our backup that it's a TIB file from this drive to the SSD. It sounds a lot more confusing than it actually is. But the first thing we need to do is download Acronis, True Image, install it, and then open it up and basically go into your bootable menu, bootable media builder. It'll be in your Acronis folder, and yeah, right there. And run through the steps, and it will turn this boring old 1 gigabyte USB key into a bootable USB drive. After you do that, go into True Image, and we're going to make a backup of our entire operating system and all our data, the entire 2.5-inch hard drive onto this USB drive. Okay, so before we start any of the fun stuff, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to set up our bootable media and then actually back up our current data. So the bootable media, our flash drive, we're going to use this tool right here. This is Acronis's Media Builder. It's a simple wizard that's going to run you through your build. And basically what you want is you want to install this right here. It's called True Image Home Edition Full Version. So we're going to click that little button, go to Next. What are your bootable media options? Don't worry about the startup parameters. That's not anything to worry about right now. Those are command line parameters. Doesn't affect us. And now it's going to say your bootable media type selection. You're going to want to insert your USB drive at some point before this. It's going to see. Sorry about that. It's going to see your USB drive as a bootable media, and you're going to install the file on there. It's 99 megabytes. Any drive will work. When that's done, we're going to move on to the more important thing, which is the backup of the entire operating system. And this is going to back up the entire C drive. So it's basically everything you have there. If you have a separate drive or partitions or stuff like that, things are going to be a little bit more complex, but not a whole lot more. We're going to be dealing with a standard C drive, and I'm going to be ditching the D drive on this. This is just the useless backup stuff that I'm not going to need. And for this, we're going to use Acronis True Image Home, the one-click backup. Plug in your USB drive, hard drive, and tell it to do a full backup onto the USB hard drive. It's going to create a .tib file, and my OS installation for this with all my data was about 35 gigabytes. Not a whole lot. So do that. It'll take about 20 minutes, and then we're ready to do the hardware swap.